which is titled Using the New Simplified Acquisition Threshold to Your Advantage. This webinar was developed with the goal to help veteran businesses accelerate their growth in the federal marketplace. And that is what VIP is all about, accelerating the success of veteran-owned small business government contractors. And it is working. On average, companies grow 64% 1 year after graduating from the VIP program. VIP offers 3 different curriculums to give veteran-owned small businesses the tools they need to win government contracts. Programs are held in the Washington, D.C. area, just 11 miles from the White House. Participants receive hands-on, market-based instruction that helps establish best business practices for federal government contracting. And the program is offered at no cost to veterans nationwide. We currently offer VIP Grow, our core curriculum, and VIP Start for veteran-owned small businesses looking to become procurement ready, and VIP International to accelerate veteran small business success in the global marketplace. This webinar series is made possible thanks to the support of the United States Small Business Administration. Its goal is to provide resources to the 22 veteran business opportunity centers located throughout the country that support veteran-owned government contractors with entrepreneurial development services such as business training, counseling, and mentoring. And there is also a resource now for the VIP alumni to ensure their continued success in the federal marketplace. The slides and audio from this webinar will be made available on the VIP marketplace at nationalvip.org. It is now my pleasure to introduce a true leader in the field of government contracting, Gloria Larkin. Gloria Larkin is President, CEO, and founder of TargetGov. The firm's expertise includes services related to government procurement such as business development, marketing, capability statements, certification services, and capture. And her clients have benefited from this expertise. In the past 7 years, TargetGov clients have won over $5 billion in federal contracts. Gloria is the Educational Foundation Board Chair Emeritus for Women Impacting Public Policy, which represents over 4 million business women nationwide. She has been interviewed on MSNBC and featured in Wall Street Journal, Forbes, and Inc. magazine. She is also an American Express National Procurement Advisor and a VIP instructor. We are thrilled to have her join us today to share insights on how to use the new Simplified Acquisition Threshold to your advantage. Thank you again, Gloria. It is now yours. We're going to let you take it from here. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Amy. I really appreciate the opportunity to continue working with our VIP grads. And I'd love to know if you can go to the next slide, and we'll go ahead and get started with the agenda. What I'd like to talk about is why this simplified acquisition process, the threshold as well as the micro purchase threshold, is so important to you. We'll talk about the decision makers using the MPT and the SAT, as well as how to use both to your advantage. In the fact that you can proactively market your services and products using this will help you see more results out of the entire sales process with the simplified acquisition threshold and the micro purchase threshold. So why are these so important? If you don't mind, let's go to the next slide, number 4. Perfect. So the MPT and the SAT have changed recently, and now in 2019, I'm just going to summarize as why it's so important. All acquisitions between $10,000 and $250,000 are automatically set aside for small business. That threshold used to be between 3,000 and 150,000. So now the threshold at the upper end is now $250,000 per transaction. So this means that many of the larger businesses that were winning these opportunities up to $250,000, they can no longer bid, provided that government decision makers can find you as the small businesses who can actually perform the work or provide the products that they're looking for. So if you're thinking of that this is 1 or 2 transactions, if you add up the number of transactions that you could have, whether it's for services or products, in this federal government marketplace, it actually could mean millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars that would be added to your bottom line revenue. And for the total amount in small business, it used to be over 30 billion when it was under 150,000. So I am sure that we'll see this growing to 40 billion with a B, or even higher for the federal fiscal year of 2019. Let's go to the next slide and talk about the micro purchase threshold. So this is at the lower end of the threshold, where the micro purchase in general used to be $3,500. And in the 2017 NDAA, Congress increased that to $10,000 for limited agencies. But then what happened was last year in 2018, National Defense Authorization Act increased the micro purchase threshold from $3,500 to $10,000 for every government entity, civilian, DOD, anyone can now make a micro purchase. They do not need 3 bids. They only need 1 contractor for up to $10,000 per transaction. But before we go to the next slide, I'd like to clarify that last bullet. And what I mean by that is, because this is a change for you, any purchase between $1 and $10,000 is considered a micro purchase, and they are available to both large and small businesses. So on one hand, much was given in that the threshold was raised to $250,000, but now large and small businesses have the ability to compete on the micro purchases under $10,000. So this means that the $30 billion that was done through credit cards under the micro purchase threshold can be now purchased from both large and small businesses. So it's even more critical that you are proactively marketing to decision makers the fact that you accept government purchase cards and you have the services and products priced under $10,000 per transaction so that they can be purchased via a credit card. So now let's go ahead to the next slide, if you don't mind. All right, a little bit more detail on this simplified acquisition threshold, because I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you right now. The National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, now all entities can purchase up to $250,000 under the simplified acquisition threshold. And what that means succinctly to you is right now, the law states that any opportunity between $10,000 and $250,000 must be set aside for small businesses if 2 or more appropriate small businesses can be found. And this is the kicker, can be found. If you recall, in the VIP class, we talked about how to be found by decision makers. We know you're out there, but the government decision makers are having a very difficult time in finding small businesses who can do exactly what they need. And so we're going to spend the second half of today talking about how you make sure that they can find you. Let's go ahead to the next slide, please. Because of the way the law is written, in the past, we all had to wait until there were federal acquisition regulation or FAR updates. But that is not the case now. I am not a lawyer. Everyone knows I'm not a lawyer. So from a non-legalese standpoint, I wanted to give you all of the citations. And I know that you'll have these slides available to you. If you wanted to validate the citations, we have them noted here so that you can do your own research if you would like to have that level of information to back all of this up, or more importantly, you would like to send these citations to the contracting officers or the purchase card holders so that they feel comfortable with what they have available to them. So feel free to copy this slide and send it directly to the decision makers if they are not totally up to date with these threshold changes and their ability to use it. As a matter of fact, as part of the handouts that we'll make available to you are the full FAR clauses and legalese in Office of Management and Budget regulations to substantiate this. So we are giving you all of the legal documents that you'll need to be able to substantiate it, or for a little light reading on your own. But let's talk about why both of these are now so important to you. Let's go to the next slide, please. The micro purchase threshold, MPT. Any service or product that you can put a price point on that's under $10,000 can be purchased immediately by anyone who holds a government purchase card. And the great news is, like credit card transactions, that funding or the money is deposited into your bank account very quickly. But let's hold on for a second and think about this for a moment, because I know that many of the folks on the call today are not product sales. Instead, you're selling services and you're thinking, oh my goodness, my services aren't under $10,000. This has no bearing on me. But what I would like you to think about is, how can you offer a service that is right under that $10,000 threshold? So can it be an assessment, an analysis, or some discrete service that you could price at $9,999 that would give you market entry into an agency quickly? Because this can give you past performance. And as past performance, This will help you very quickly in a small transaction give a contracting officer an easy way to do business with you, and then you start building past performance with that customer with very little risk, under $10,000 on their part. But it's up to you as a service provider to be able to offer a service under that threshold. So if you think of that, I call it productizing your service. So if you could give them a menu of services that you could offer them under that $10,000 threshold, and then suggest that they use their purchase card in order to engage you, it gives you a contract vehicle that is simple, easy to use, and they don't have to get 3 bids in order to start doing business with you. Now, I know that some folks are thinking, well, our service is $50,000. What if they just did 5 segments at $10,000 each? And my answer to that is don't go there. That's not what you want to do in this marketplace. That's actually not quite legal. So the service itself has to literally be valued at that dollar amount, not a larger amount cut into segments. So what you want to do from the micro purchase threshold as an action item from today is think about how you can offer your services and what products, if you're offering products, that you can offer to decision makers so that they can quickly make a decision to start working with you directly through a credit card purchase. So let's go ahead and go into the simplified acquisition thresholds. Now, because of this change, any non-IDIQ transaction, so this is not on any large IDIQs. This is outside of the IDIQ world. Any transaction between that $10,000 and $250,000 are reserved exclusively for small businesses as long as they can find you. And all set-aside types, whether you're service disabled, 8A, hub zone, woman-owned, all set-aside types can participate in both the MPT and the SAT. However, yes, GSA manages the purchase cards and the related time limits. So know that they may take a while to implement this process, but they do know that it's law now and it is available now. Just know that you may have a little bit of a time lag between today and the date where all purchase card holders can use their card for that $10,000 limit. Let's go ahead to the next slide, please. So, who are these decision makers who you can actually use the micro purchase and the simplified acquisition threshold? All of them. In shorthand, all of them, whether they are the small business, the contracting and acquisition folks, or the program managers and end users. They can all be involved in this decision-making process. So if you are reaching out, let's say, for instance, you're reaching out to contracting and acquisition. They have the authority for micro purchase as well as simplified acquisition and hire. So I'm talking about the middle bullet right now, contracting and acquisition. It would be very good for you as the contractor to be able to proactively market your services or products as fitting within the micro purchase threshold or the simplified acquisition threshold. You could put that on your capability statement. You could have it as a verbal discussion. For all of these decision makers, it is a valid discussion point or discussion topic when you have a capability briefing set up or any other meeting. Maybe you're doing a vendor outreach session or a matchmaking session. Proactively discussing how your services and products can be purchased either under the micro purchase threshold or the simplified acquisition threshold can definitely open doors for new opportunities for you. I know that small business officers usually do not make purchases. And so you're not necessarily going to try to sell small business and ask them to pull out their credit card and make a purchase of your services or products. But if you are discussing with them the ability to offer your services and products through micro purchase or the simplified acquisition, that also gives them discussion points to have with their colleagues in contracting and acquisition and program managers and end users. And so let's talk about program managers and end users. Often they do have credit cards, purchase cards, and the authority to purchase up to their assigned limit, which may be now $10,000, or it could be much higher. So if you are speaking directly to the program or end user level, the folks actually using your services and products, make sure to bring up as discussion points both the micro purchase and the simplified acquisition and the services, the menu that you have that you can provide under those dollar values. So how do you do this? Let's go to the next slide, please. How you would do this. How you would do this. Let's go ahead to the next slide. Do we have a question coming in that I'm not seeing? Let's go ahead to the next slide. Let me check and see if I'm just not seeing it on the next slide. Okay, how to use both to your advantage. So the point is, please, before you reach out to decision makers, please do your homework, identify specific opportunities. Just don't reach out to them and say, what have you got for me? I can now handle credit card purchases. Instead, what you want to do is go to them after you've looked at the forecast, after you've looked at USA spending and FPDS and FedBizOps, and you've identified at least 3 or more opportunities to discuss. This is how you can then set the stage to discuss upcoming opportunities. It really will not work if you don't do your homework and you go instead, do your homework and go to them with 3 or more opportunities that you could open the door either through the micro purchase credit card or under the simplified acquisition process. Of course, killer capability statements. Everyone knows how critical a great capability statement is. We don't need to go through that detail again. Just make sure it's very focused and targeted please do not do a generic capability statement. Instead, have a very targeted CAPE statement, and ideally focusing on those services or products that fit within the micro purchase and the simplified acquisition threshold. And please, please, please fix your business cards. Everybody, we've talked about this, and in the VIP Grow session, as well as the VIP Start session, we talked about what not to do with your business cards. Don't have them shiny and dark background. Instead, have a light color background with no finish so that decision makers can easily write on them and make notes related to follow up with you. Also, the next point is very important, to update your email signature line. Too many people have terrible email signature lines, and you should have everything in that signature line. Your name, your title, your company, your website, your email, your phone number, your GSA schedule, your vet biz registration, any certifications that you own, any contract vehicles that you're on, and the fact that you accept federal purchase cards. I know your signature line is going to be very long, but the important part to that is it is also totally informative. If you send your capability statement and they start forwarding it to other decision makers, you want to have a full signature line in there so that they get all of your contact information. But a caveat is, please do not mass email. Please do not mass email. This is a critical element that you want to take into account. Don't buy those email lists. I know I get hammered by people trying to sell them literally every day. No matter how good they sound, they're not good. They're, first of all, not valid emails, for one thing. But worse, the first time you would try to send a mass email, you will be blacklisted within the federal government marketplace, and you run the risk of your entire domain being shut down. I know companies that this has happened to, and I don't want you to experience that pain. By the way, I see we do have questions coming in, and we want to answer these questions at the end of the session. So please continue to write your questions in, and we will be sure to answer as many as we possibly can at the end of today's session. So now, as we move forward on this slide, the tools that you'll use for success. The one at the top bullet is brand new. It is absolutely brand new, and many people in the government don't even know about it. It's so new. But it is use for inside the government decision makers. It is not for our use. It's how they find us, which is very important. It's called Acquisition Gateway, and they're literally scraping your SAM and your SBA profile for keywords and phrases that they need for the services or products that they're looking for. If you recall, during the VIP class, we did talk about the VIP Grow class. We did talk about this. And if you would like us to review your SAM and your SBA profile, remember we offered to do that at no cost, and we still will do that. But you need to get in touch with us, and we'll tell you exactly where to put the keywords and phrases that this data scraping tool searches. And they will be in your SAM registration and your SBA, your small business profile registration. For SAM, know that is available to both large and small businesses. So you'll be competing with large business in SAM for the keywords and phrases. But I think you have an advantage and an asset because you have control over what's going in your SAM registration, and you can update it immediately, whereas in many large business organizations, they don't have the flexibility or the agility to update their SAM registration with appropriate keywords and phrases. So it's my recommendation you take advantage of this as soon as possible. For those that we've already done the SAM and the SBA profile reviews, you know exactly where I'm talking about. For those of you who we have not yet done that for, I'm still going to honor that offer to do it. Just get in touch with us. On the SBA profile, the advantage here is that it is only for you, small businesses. So this is the advantage if they're looking for a service-disabled, veteran-owned company in a certain part of the country who does certain services or provides certain products, they will go to the SBA profile or the dynamic small business search. It's the same thing. So again, we've covered that as part of the VIP Grow class. If you'd like us to do this individually with you, we'll do it, of course, as a complimentary process. But that's not the only two places. They also use it in agency-specific registrations. And by that, if you're doing business in the Intel environment and you're registered in ARC, A-R-C, for the intelligence environment, keywords and phrases are critical there as well. Some Army Corps of Engineer districts are using vendor registration databases, and more government agencies are starting their own vendor registration database. So you will be using these keywords and phrases with all of those agencies. And believe it or not, with prime contractors who are starting to get on the bandwagon as well. So by proactively marketing your business for the MPT and the Simplified Acquisition Threshold, SAT, this will bring you to mind more often because you're proactively marketing it. Let's say you're reaching out at least once a month to your targets. You want to mention that you do have services and products available within those thresholds. Let's go ahead and talk about this proactively marketing on the next slide. Thank you. In order to be proactive, you have to have a target. So identifying specific target agencies is a must. You do not want to mass market to the entire federal government. That is a huge mistake, and it will hurt you more than help you. Instead, you definitely want to only market to very specific agency targets who need exactly what you provide. Also, in creating the decision maker targets, remember the slide that we had, the 3 layers of decision makers. Those decision maker layers, not just 3 people, but it could be 6 people, it could be 9 people, it could be many more people within an agency. The layers are small business, contracting and acquisition, as well as program and end users. So those first 2 bullets are required for you to have great targets. And then if you create this menu, maybe a bulleted sheet describing your services or products that are available under those thresholds, what's available under 10,000, and those offers that are between 10,000 and 250, then you make it very easy for people to buy from you within these thresholds. Definitely reach out once a month to specific decision makers with a non-salesy messaging process. Make sure that you're not trying to sell, but instead you are helping them understand that what you're offering them is a benefit to them. It will help them solve a problem. It could help reduce costs, or it could make their staff more effective. Describe the benefits of the services or products you're providing as well. As we go through this, attending in-person events and having your capability statement created so that you can then talk about purchasing under the simplified acquisition threshold is really the best way to get your point across, that you understand it, you have the services within those dollar figures, and you're ready to do business with them. This will help you become more and more noticeable and attractive to those government decision makers. And on the next slide, we're going to talk about something that I've already alluded to, the Target Gov Rule of 3, and it applies to the micro purchase under 10 grand as well as the up to $250,000. And the whole point is never reach out to anybody. Never reach out to any decision makers for a meeting to discuss any of this. And that means everybody, until you've done your homework. Remember, we said this earlier in a slide. If you want to see actual revenues out of this, and I know you do, you want to do your homework and prepare with at least 3 opportunities that you can then go to the target and say, you can purchase our services to fit the needs in these 3 or more upcoming opportunities. And by the way, you can use a credit card to purchase this segment of our services under 10,000, or you could use the simplified acquisition process for our services between 10,000 and $250,000. Where do you find those opportunities? I'll remind you, you can find them in agency forecasts. You can find them in sources sought notices. Even if the sources sought notices are older, it still means the agency uses those products and services that they mentioned. In the upcoming recompete contracts as well, you can also find them by looking at history at FPDS, Federal Procurement Data System, or USA Spending. All of those data resources are free. And then there are subscription services, of which one is EasyGovOps. There are others out there. There are many subscription services. So it would be good for you to determine which one suits your needs the best if you decide to go that route. But frankly, you can get many of the opportunities directly through the no-cost services available directly by the government. Forecasts, sources sought, recompetes, FPDS, etc. So I'm hoping that now you have a really good feel for what the simplified acquisition threshold is. It's now $250,000, and anything between 10,000 and 250,000 is supposed to go to small businesses as long as they can find you. The micro purchase threshold is now $10,000. So anything from $1 up to $10,000 can now be purchased via credit card instantaneously, no 3 bids, and that credit card holder has the ability to make that decision. Now you know why both are important for you. It can give you past performance quickly by offering these solutions with these acquisition processes to the government decision maker. Now you know how to use them to your advantage. And we've already talked about proactively marketing your services and products. So let's see if we can answer some of these questions. I do see some that have come in, and so I am going to go ahead and answer them. What I'll ask Amy, if you don't mind, Amy, if we need to talk, since you and I can't talk directly right now, if you could reach me again on my cell, that would be fabulous. I'll turn it off so it's not going to be destructive, not going to bother us. So from a question, I see that, again, describe the micro purchase. I think we've done that a few times, but I will say one more time, a micro purchase now is anything under $10,000. And is a government purchase card a plain old credit card, or do we need a special setup to accept them? Kind of both. It is a purchase card that is run through Visa or MasterCard, but it does have an extra layer of validation. And any credit card system or credit card provider system, even your bank, will know exactly what you mean when you say we would like to accept government credit cards. It does have a third layer of validation on it, and they will know exactly what you mean by that. So just simply ask whoever is processing your credit cards now, or if you want to reach out to your own bank, how to process credit cards. That's a great place to start. You can also, I believe, use QuickBooks as a credit card processor as well. Question that James asks is, how long do SAT service procurements have to stay on FedBizOps? There is no minimum time. It's usually a dead giveaway, though, James, if it's on there only for a very short, like a 2 or 3 day period of time that they already know who they want to buy from. So this is important for you to realize that it's wired for someone if it's only a short, less than a week period of time on FedBizOps. If it's there for a longer period of time, a week, 10 days, 2 weeks to a month, then it's a better chance of being competitive as opposed to them having a favorite child. Who can you contact and how for assistance in updating your SAM with key phrases? Luis, you can do 2 things. You can, of course, reach out to me personally. You can also reach out to your PTAC. Your local PTAC, wherever you are in the United States, offers this kind of service for free. So I don't want you to think you must reach out to me. There are other alternatives. We've actually taught PTACs nationwide how to do this. But if you'd like to reach out to me as well, we are happy to do that for you on a complimentary basis. And even though, Vishnal, you've asked here that you'd like it reviewed, you have to email me because I won't have these records here. Just my email will be up in a moment, and you'll be able to send me that email directly. And Amy will answer how you can get this webinar as well. So Arden, you asked, do we have past performance as a subcontractor. Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad you asked that question, Arden. Past performance is any example of the work that you've done, whether you're a prime contractor, a subcontractor, whether you've done it for the government or private sector or state or city or county government. Any customer that you've worked for can be a reference and therefore past performance for you. The key is that your company has to have done it. You can't do it as an employee somewhere else and then claim it as your own past performance. The legal term past performance indicates that your company performed the actual work. And I do not know why, Aaron King, I don't know about the NMR exemption. That would be a great question to ask one of the attorneys affiliated with the VIP session. I wish I had an answer for you on that. Arden, your question on is there a place to search for micro purchase opportunities? No, there is not. And those are the purchase opportunities under $10,000. And this is then a real compelling reason why you want to have targets, why you want to proactively reach out to them. Because micro purchase opportunities are usually them reaching out to you when they need something. So the only way they know who you are is because you have been proactively marketing to decision makers every month, at least once a month. The exception to the rule could be product sales, and they might find products on GSA. So if you have a GSA schedule and they find your products there, they may make a purchase directly through the schedule as opposed to using a credit card. But it's not required that you have a GSA schedule to sell products. Or it's possible for you to sell directly to them via credit card. But the virtually only way that they'll know about you is if you've done your homework, you've researched, and now you're proactively marketing to them. Boy, George, you ask a great question, and that is how many agencies have adopted the new SAT and micro purchase rules. I have no clue, but the rule is that they all have to adopt it, but it will take them some time because that's just the way the government moves, slowly. It's not an overnight thing. They had an excuse earlier where the NDAA said only certain entities were required to adopt it, but now every federal agency is required to adopt it, but some are taking longer than others. I wish I could give you a definitive answer, but there's no way to track that until you just reach out to them and start talking to them about it. Vishnu asks for a related question. Where do we look for those opportunities besides FedBiz, FedBiz Ops or FBO? That the other places would be forecasts for your targets, definitely forecasts. So if you're targeting Army Corps of Engineers, if you're targeting Navy, if you're targeting Health and Human Services, look at the agency forecasts for upcoming opportunities or target services and products that they want to purchase. But the other place to look would be in what they've purchased in the past, and that's through either USA spending or Federal Procurement Data System, FPDS. Both are free websites for you to access, because the government is a creature of habit, and whatever they've spent in the past, they're going to repeat and purchase again in the future. So that often can give you a heads up. Plus, usually the contracting officer's name is attached to those types of purchases. So you'll also have one of the decision makers identified for you as well. I think we have time for one or two more questions, and then I'm sure Amy's going to jump in and close us out. Nina Gray asks, are the sources sought just for 8A certified? No, no, no. Sources sought notices can be for literally anyone, large or small. They're rarely only for certain types of companies. And occasionally a sources sought may come out that's already pre-selected as service disabled or veteran owned if it's for the VA, or it may come out occasionally specifying 8A only, but rarely. I would say 95% of the time, sources sought notices are not yet designated for a particular entity type, meaning they're not even saying small business yet. They're saying we need to hear from everybody out there, and then based on the answers for the sources sought, then we'll determine if it's a set aside or not. You're welcome. And James, has the VA adopted SAT? I don't know again on that. Every individual agency has their own timetable on it. The best thing to do is to contact those 3 layers of decision makers and just start being proactive about it. On the handouts that everyone will receive, of course, the slide deck, and then we've put together the 2 technical documents to give you proof that you could then send to the VA if they're slow on adopting it, or any other agency, and also the Target Gov Rule of 3. And these handouts will come directly from the VIP folks, so that you'll all get access to them moving forward. And I think that wraps us up for today. If you don't mind going to the next slide and closing us out, Amy.
Well, thank you so much.
I got it. I'm turning it off.
Thank you so much, Gloria, for your excellent presentation. And I apologize for a little bit of technical difficulty, but you are such a pro. It did not slow you up a bit, and I'm very thankful for that. It was tremendous information, certainly very valuable, and it will be available by the end of the day up on the website, the nationalvip.org website under resources. And again, we'll make sure you get the materials as well. I'd like to thank our participants for their understanding and patience with some of the technical difficulty, and for attending today's VIP webinar. And of course, to the SBA for making this webinar possible. Again, we hope you found the information presented to be helpful as you prepare your company to be more competitive and compliant. I would like to ask that you take a moment to complete the very short survey that will be sent to you immediately following this program. Your feedback is always very important to us. And we wish you all continued success in the federal marketplace. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye-bye.